The champagne flute slipped. Gabrielle caught it before it shattered, but her hands betrayed her, trembling, unsteady, wrong. Across the room, Kang Ji-won smiled at his fiancée, and something inside Gabby finally broke. Not loudly, not dramatically, just broke. The Han Soryong Grand Lounge glittered like a jewelry box tonight. Gold chandeliers dripping crystal tears, marble floors reflecting the parade of designer gowns and tailored suits. Korean flowed around her in hushed, reverent tones, the language of power and old money. She understood every word now. 7 years in Seoul had made sure of that. 7 years of being invisible. Gabby moved through the engagement party like smoke, refilling glasses, clearing plates, existing in that peculiar space reserved for servers. Seen but not noticed, necessary but not acknowledged. She'd perfected the art. Lower your eyes, soften your footsteps, make yourself small enough to disappear. Tonight, that skill felt like a curse. Her chest ached. A physical thing, sharp and relentless, like someone had reached inside her ribcage and squeezed. The burn in her throat had nothing to do with champagne and everything to do with unshed tears. Her vision blurred at the edges, and she blinked hard, forcing herself to focus. Don't cry. Not here. Not now. Ji-won laughed at something Yunara said. A rare sound, genuine and warm, and Gabby's fingers tightened around the empty tray until her knuckles went pale. 7 years ago, she'd seen him for the first time in this very lounge. She'd been 21, fresh off the plane from Lagos via London, trailing her mother who'd taken a job managing the VIP section. Ji-won had been sitting alone in the corner booth, perfectly still, watching everything, calm, commanding, untouchable. She'd brought him whiskey, neat, no ice, and he'd nodded without looking at her. That nod had destroyed her life, because she'd spent 7 years hoping for another one. A glance, a word, anything. Instead, she'd watched him bring other women here. Actresses with porcelain skin and perfect Korean. Models who laughed too loud and touched his arm. Politicians' daughters who fit into his world without translation. And now, a wife. The weight of wealth pressed down on her shoulders, designer perfume, imported roses, the casual way these people wore power like second skin. Gabby had learned to navigate their world, but she'd never belonged to it. She'd never belonged to him. Her fingers found her work badge, the plastic rectangle that had been her identity for 7 years. Without thinking, without hesitating, she slipped it off and placed it gently on an abandoned tray of empty glasses. The Seoul night called to her through the floor-to-ceiling windows, neon and noise and freedom. For the first time in 7 years, Gabrielle Okoye walked away from Kang Ji-won. She didn't know he was watching. If you've ever loved someone who didn't see you, truly see you, hit that like button right now and subscribe, because what Gabby does next, it changes absolutely everything. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from, and I promise you, when Ji-won finds out what she's about to do, he's going to lose his damn mind. The apartment was smaller than a closet in the lounge. Gabby kicked off her work shoes and stood in the center of the single room that served as bedroom, living room, and kitchen. 12 square meters of her life in Seoul. 12 square meters that suddenly felt like a prison. Her phone buzzed. Mina, where'd you go? Mr. Han is looking for you. Gabby typed back, tell him I quit. The three dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Then, what? She turned off her phone. The black dress hung in her closet. Tag still attached, price still visible. She bought it 2 years ago during a moment of foolish hope, thinking maybe if she looked different, dressed bolder, he'd finally notice her. She'd never worn it. The thought of walking into the lounge in something so revealing, so unapologetically beautiful, had terrified her. What if he still didn't look? What if he did? Gabby pulled the dress from its hanger now, the fabric whispering promises against her skin. Her mother's voice echoed in her head, sharp and certain. Gabriella Donna Okoye, you make yourself small for no man. Not even your father made me small. God rest his soul. You hear me? She heard. She'd just forgotten. 21 years old, stepping off the plane at Incheon International Airport, soul spreading before her like a challenge. Her mother had been so proud, they'd saved for 3 years for this opportunity. A job at the prestigious Han Soryong Group, serving Korea's elite, learning the language, building a future. Gabby had been wide-eyed and hopeful and so desperately naive. She remembered her first week. The other servers had been kind but cautious. She was different here, her dark skin marking her as foreign in a way that went beyond nationality. She'd learned Korean with obsessive dedication, spent every free moment practicing until she could hear the tonal differences, feel the grammar structure become second nature. She'd learned the art of serving without being seen, and she'd learned Kangjiwon, whiskey, neat, no ice. He arrived every Tuesday and Friday at exactly 9:30 p.m. He sat in the corner booth, away from the crowds. He never raised his voice, but rooms fell silent when he spoke. He was cold but never cruel, powerful but never loud. He remembered everyone's name, everyone except hers. For 3 years, she'd been Miss, or excuse me. In year 4, he'd finally asked, "What's your name?" "Gabrielle, Gabby," he'd nodded. "Gabby, thank you." Her heart had soared for weeks. Then he'd brought a woman, an actress, stunning and sophisticated. And Gabby had served them both, invisible again. The pattern repeated. Different women, same indifference. She'd watched him with each one, tried to understand what they had that she didn't. Confidence? Beauty? The right last name? She changed her hair, learned to do makeup the Korean way, wore red once, her mother's favorite color on her, the shade that made her skin glow. That night, Jiwon had complimented another woman wearing red at the next table. Gabby had gone home and cried until dawn. Her phone buzzed again. She'd forgotten to turn it fully off. Mina had sent 15 messages. The last one read, "He's getting married, Gab. Let him go, please. You deserve better than this." Gabby stared at those words. You deserve better. And something shifted inside her chest. 7 years. 7 years of quiet, stupid, relentless love for a man who looked through her like glass. She stripped off her work uniform, the black slacks and white blouse that screamed staff, and stepped into the shower. The hot water scalded her skin, but she welcomed the pain. It meant she could still feel something other than emptiness. When she emerged, she didn't recognize herself in the mirror. The black dress hugged every curve her uniform had hidden. The neckline dipped just low enough to be daring. The hem hit mid-thigh. She looked like someone who belonged in the lounge as a guest, not as help. Red lipstick. Her mother's voice again. Red lips, baby girl. That's power. Heels she'd never dared to wear. Black, sleek, dangerous. Her hair, usually pulled back in a practical bun, fell in loose curls around her shoulders. Gabrielle looked at her reflection and whispered, "I am not invisible." The words felt like a prayer, like rebellion, like freedom. Mina called. This time Gabby answered, "Where are you going?" Mina's voice was worried. "Out." Gabby, "I'm not going to his wedding, Min. I'm going to forget him." A pause. Then softer. "You look beautiful, don't you?" Gabby smiled, a real smile, the first in months. "I do." "Then go, dance, laugh, find someone who sees you." She grabbed her clutch and walked out into the soul night, leaving 7 years of invisibility behind. She had no idea that choosing herself would make someone else finally choose her too. Club Pulse swallowed her whole. Bass pounded through the floor, vibrating up through Gabby's heels and into her chest where her heart used to be. Neon lights, electric blue, violent pink, toxic green, slashed through the darkness, painting the writhing crowd in colors that didn't exist in nature. Bodies moved without thought, without restraint, lost in rhythm and heat and temporary freedom. Gabby stepped into that chaos like she was shedding skin. The music wrapped around her, louder than thought, louder than memory. She moved to the bar, ordered something sweet and strong, and let the alcohol burn away the last 7 years. The bartender smiled at her, really smiled like she was worth looking at, and she smiled back. When was the last time she'd smiled without forcing it? First time here? The voice came from her left, American accent softening the Korean words. Gabby turned and found warm brown eyes, an easy smile, and none of the shadows that lived in Kang Ji-won's face. "That obvious?" she said. "You look like someone who just escaped something." He extended his hand. "Ethan Park. And before you ask, yes, half and half. Mom's from Busan, dad's from California. I get the question a lot." She laughed, actually laughed, the sound surprising her. "Gabrielle Okoye, and before you ask, yes, I'm aware I stand out here." "You do," his smile widened, in the best way possible. They talked. God, they talked like normal people. About photography, his passion, about art galleries, her secret dream, about how soul could feel enormous and suffocating at the same time. He made her laugh 3 times in 10 minutes. He listened when she spoke. He looked at her like she was the only person in the room. It was intoxicating. "Dance with me?" Ethan asked, offering his hand. Gabby hesitated. She'd never been the dancing type, never been the type to draw attention. But tonight she was someone else. Someone who wore black dresses and red lipstick and didn't make herself small. Yes. The dance floor was a crush of bodies and heat. Ethan's hands found her waist, respectful but present. She let herself move, let the music drown everything else. For the first time in 7 years, she wasn't thinking about Kang Ji-won. She was thinking about herself. Can I kiss you? Ethan asked, his mouth close to her ear so she could hear over the music. The question stunned her. He was asking, actually asking permission, like her answer mattered. Yes, she whispered. The kiss was tender, public, liberating. His lips were soft against hers, tasting like beer and possibility. Nothing demanding, nothing possessive, just simple, honest affection. Everything Jiwon had never given her. Gabby kissed him back, and for 3 perfect seconds, she forgot about invisible years and unrequited love. Then Ethan's body went rigid. He pulled back slightly, his eyes tracking something over her shoulder. Gabby, she turned. Across the club, through the strobing lights and moving bodies, Kang Ji-won stood frozen, champagne glass halfway to his lips, designer suit stark against the club's chaos, eyes locked on her with an intensity that stopped her breath. Time fractured. Ji-won's perspective, the room narrows, the music fades. Everything disappears except her, Gabby, wearing a black dress he's never seen, kissing a man he doesn't know. Her hands are on the stranger's chest. She's smiling, actually smiling. When was the last time he saw her smile? Why does it feel like someone's ripping his chest open with bare hands? Who is he? Why is she looking at him like that? Why does this hurt? His champagne glass shattered. Minho, his bodyguard, appeared at his elbow. Sir, are you? Who is that? Jiwan's voice came out wrong, raw, dangerous. Sir, I don't. Find out, now. But Jiwan was already moving, cutting through the crowd like a predator. People scattered instinctively, sensing violence beneath the expensive suit. He'd followed her tonight. Left his own engagement party because something felt wrong when she walked out. He couldn't explain it, didn't understand it, just knew he needed to see where she went. And now this. Ethan saw him coming first. His body shifted, protective, putting himself between Gabby and whatever danger approached. Smart man. Gabby, Jiwon's hand closed around her wrist. Not rough, but possessive, claiming. We need to talk. She spun, and the look on her face, shock melting into fury, was something he'd never seen before. Let go of me. Now, he continued, as if she hadn't spoken. Gabby laughed, bitter, sharp, nothing like the soft sound he'd heard her make with the stranger. No, we don't. Go back to your fiancé, Jiwon. The use of his name, casual, dismissive, felt like a slap. Who is this? He looked at Ethan with cold assessment, the kind of look that had made grown men confess to crimes. Ethan didn't flinch. Someone who asked before touching her. You should try it. Jiwon's grip tightened fractionally. Do you know who I am? Should I care? Stop. Gabby yanked her wrist free, stepping between them. Her chest heaved, eyes blazing. Both of you, just stop. Jiwon started. No? Her voice cut through everything. Music, tension, 7 years of silence. You don't get to do this. You don't get to show up here and act like you have any right to me. I need to explain. Explain what? That you finally noticed me? That it took another man kissing me for you to see I exist? She was shaking now, rage and pain vibrating through her. I'm done, Jiwon. I'm done being invisible. She grabbed Ethan's hand and walked away. For the first time in his carefully controlled life, Kang Jiwon didn't know what to do. Minho appeared beside him. Sir, Miss Yoon is calling. She's asking where. I don't care. Because the only thing Jiwon could see was Gabby's hand in another man's, walking away from him. And the terrifying realization that he'd never actually wanted anything this badly before. Not power, not respect, not safety, just her. Rain fell like accusation. Outside Club Pulse, Seoul's neon lights bled into puddles. Pink and blue watercolor bleeding across concrete. Gabby stood beneath the club's awning, Ethan beside her, both of them catching their breath. That was, Ethan started. I'm sorry. Gabby turned to him, guilt crashing through her adrenaline. I shouldn't have dragged you into. Hey, he touched her shoulder gently. I'm fine, but you're shaking. She was. Her whole body trembled with 7 years of words finally finding their voice. The club door slammed open. Jiwon emerged like a storm, Minho trailing behind with an umbrella. Water immediately soaked his shoulders, his perfectly styled hair, but he didn't seem to notice. His eyes found Gabby and locked. Leave, he said to Ethan. Not a request. No. Ethan moved closer to Gabby. You don't understand what you're... I understand enough. Ethan's voice stayed calm, but his body was tense. I understand she asked you to leave her alone. Jiwon took a step forward. Stop. Gabby pushed between them again, and suddenly everything inside her, 7 years of silence, swallowed words, invisible pain, erupted. You want to talk, Juwan? Fine, let's talk. Rain soaked through her dress, her hair, but she didn't care. Do you know how many women you brought to the lounge? How many times I served you in whatever actress or model or politician's daughter you were with that week? I do. 37. I counted every single one. Jiwon's face went pale. Do you remember the red dress? Her voice cracked. 3 years ago, February. I wore red because my mother said it was my color. You walked in with that woman, the one with the white coat, and you told her red looked beautiful on her. I was standing 3 feet away. You looked right through me. Gabby, I didn't. You never did. That's the point. Rain and tears mixed on her face. I learned Korean for you. Perfect Korean. No accent. I learned how you take your whiskey, what nights you'd come in, what mood you'd be in based on how you walked. I memorized you, and you never even learned my name until year 4. I asked. Once. You asked once, and I thought, God, I was so stupid. I thought maybe that meant something. But the next week you brought another woman, and I realized I was still just furniture to you. Joanne's jaw worked. You were never. I was. The words ripped out of her. I was furniture. I was wallpaper. I was invisible. And tonight was supposed to be the night I finally stopped loving you. The confession hung in the rain-soaked air. Jiwon stared at her. You what? 7 years. Gabby's voice dropped to a whisper. I loved you for 7 years. Silently. Stupidly. Completely. And you never saw me. Not once. Not until someone else did. Something shattered in Jiwon's expression. Shock. Realization. Something that looked almost like pain. I didn't know. How could you? Gabby laughed bitterly. I made sure you wouldn't. Because I knew if you knew, you'd pity me. Or worse, you'd be kind about it. And I couldn't survive your kindness. Ethan touched her elbow gently. Gabby, we should go. Yes. She looked at Jiwon one last time. Congratulations on your engagement. I hope she makes you happy. She turned to leave. Jiwon's hand shot out, catching her wrist. Don't. Let me go. I can't. His voice was raw, unfamiliar. I can't let you walk away. Why? She spun back, fury reigniting. Why now? Why do you suddenly care? I don't know. The admission seemed to cost him. I don't know, but watching you with him, watching you smile like that, it felt like what? Like dying. The words fell between them, naked and desperate. Gabby pulled her wrist free. That's not love, Juwan. That's possession. That's jealousy. That's you finally wanting something because someone else has it. No. Yes, she stepped back. I'm not a toy you suddenly want because another kid picked it up. I'm a person you ignored for 7 years, and I'm done. Do you hear me? I'm done waiting for you to see me. She walked away with Ethan, and this time Jiwon didn't follow. Minho appeared with the umbrella. Sir, should I? No. Jiwon stood in the rain, watching her disappear into Seoul's neon maze. Get me everything on that photographer. Everything. Sir, and find out where she lives now. Minho hesitated. Sir, Miss Yoon has called 17 times. I don't care about Yoonara. Jiwon's voice was hollow. I never did. The rain fell harder, but Jiwon barely felt it. All he could feel was the ghost of Gabby's words, the 7 years he'd wasted, and the terrifying certainty that he just lost something irreplaceable. Because she was right, he'd never seen her, until she was already gone. 3 days later, Gabby sat across from Ethan at a cafe in Itaewon, watching him talk about his upcoming photography exhibit. He was kind, funny, present, everything she thought she wanted. But her mind kept drifting to Tuesday nights and whiskey served neat. You're not listening, Ethan said gently. Gabby blinked. I'm sorry. It's okay. He reached across the table, squeezed her hand. You don't have to pretend with me. Guilt twisted in her stomach. Ethan deserved better than half her attention, half her heart. He deserved someone who wasn't haunted by a man who'd never wanted her. Her phone buzzed. Mina. Girl, Juwon's been asking about you. At the lounge. He came in 3 times this week. He never comes in that much. Gabby's heart stuttered traitorously. He asked where you live. What you're doing. He looks like hell, Gab. I've never seen him like this. She typed back, it's too late. He had 7 years. But her fingers trembled. That night, alone in her apartment, she pulled up the Han Soryeon Lounge's Instagram, scrolled through the photos, looked for him in the background of every shot like an addict searching for a fix. She hated herself for it. I'm pathetic, she whispered to her empty apartment. 2 weeks passed. Ethan's exhibit opened at a small gallery in Gangnam. Gabby wore a blue dress, safe, unremarkable, and tried to feel excited for him. The photographs were beautiful. Seoul at dawn, street vendors, the city's hidden corners. She was studying a shot of Namsan Tower when the air in the room changed. She felt him before she saw him. Kang Jiwon stood at the gallery entrance, eyes scanning the crowd until they found her. He looked different, exhausted, slightly disheveled, like he hadn't slept in days. Their gazes locked, and Gabby's breath caught. Ethan appeared at her elbow. That's him, isn't it? Yes. Jiwon walked toward them, purpose in every step. People moved aside instinctively. You need to leave, Ethan said when Jiwon reached them. You don't know her. Jiwon's voice was low, dangerous. I know enough. Ethan's calm cracked, thus showing anger underneath. I know she deserves better than a man who only noticed her when someone else did. I know she spent 7 years loving you while you treated her like she didn't exist. I know she's better off without you. The words hit Jawan like physical blows. His jaw clenched, his hands flexed. For a moment, Gabby saw something raw and broken in his eyes, the realization that Ethan was right. Gabby, Jawan said, ignoring Ethan entirely. Please, just listen. No. She grabbed Ethan's hand, kneading the anchor. You don't get to do this. Not here. Not now. She walked away, leaving Jiwon standing alone among photographs of a city he suddenly didn't recognize. Outside, she finally let herself cry. Gabby's apartment door was unlocked. She knew immediately something was wrong. She always locked it, obsessively, automatically. Her hand hovered over her phone, ready to call the police when she heard movement inside. She pushed the door open slowly. Kang Jiwon sat on her small couch, looking profoundly out of place in her 12-square-meter world. His suit jacket was gone, shirt sleeves rolled up, tie loosened. He looked up when she entered, and the exhaustion in his face shocked her. How did you? Fury ignited. Get out. I need to talk to you. You broke into my apartment. Her voice rose, hands shaking. You have no right to be here. I know. He stood slowly. I know, but you won't answer my calls. You block my number. His voice cracked. I can't sleep. I can't think. Every room you're not in feels empty. That's not my problem. Gabby, please. No. She threw her purse on the counter. You don't get to break into my home and act like you're the victim here. You had 7 years, Juwan. 7 years to notice me, to see me, to... I saw you. The confession stopped her cold. I always saw you. That's a lie. No. He moved closer, and she saw something desperate in his eyes. I noticed you the first month you worked there. The way you hummed while cleaning tables. Some old song I didn't recognize. The way you never flinched when I walked in, when everyone else got nervous. You just smiled, like I was normal. Gabby's breath caught. I noticed when you learned Korean, when you stopped needing to check the menu translations. I noticed when you changed your hair, when you wore red, when you started arriving 15 minutes early every shift. His voice dropped. I noticed everything, and it terrified me. Why? The word came out broken. Because you made me want something other than control. He ran a hand through his hair, the gesture so unlike his usual composure. My whole life is about power, maintaining it, never showing weakness, never wanting anything I couldn't take. But you, God, Gabby, you made me want to be seen, really seen, not as the heir to the Han Soryeon group, not as someone to fear, just as a man. Tears burned her eyes. Then why? I was a coward. The admission seemed to cost him. I told myself you deserved better, someone normal, someone who couldn't ruin your life just by standing next to you. I thought if I kept my distance, you'd be safe. That wasn't your choice to make. I know. He stepped closer. I know, and I'm a fool who's been in love with you for longer than he'll admit. The words hung between them, electric and impossible. You're lying? Gabby whispered, but her voice lacked conviction. I'm not. He was close enough now that she could feel his warmth. I'm engaged to a woman I don't love because it was expected, safe, controllable. But watching you with him, watching you smile like you were finally free, it destroyed something in me. Made me realize I'd rather lose everything than lose you. Jiwon, I love you. Raw, desperate. Nothing like the cold man she'd served for 7 years. I love the way you hum when you think no one's listening. I love how you always remembered the small things, not just whiskey, but the way I take it. I love that you learned a whole language and never once asked for recognition. I love. Gabby kissed him. 7 years of longing exploded in that moment. His hands tangled in her hair, pulling her closer. Her back hit the door, and she didn't care. His mouth was hungry, desperate, finally hers. She tasted regret and need, and something that felt dangerously like love. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, reality crashed back. You're engaged, she whispered against his lips. I'm ending it. Your family. I don't care. His forehead pressed against hers. Not if it means losing you again. His phone rang. The screen lit up. Yoon Ara. Jiwon ignored it. It rang again. Again. Finally, he answered. Ara. Gabby heard her voice through the phone, high and frantic. I'm pregnant. The world stopped. Jiwon's face drained of color. His eyes met Gabby's, stricken, and she saw the exact moment hope died. Gabby stepped back. Go. Gabby, go be with your family. Please let me. I waited 7 years. Her voice broke. I'm done waiting. She opened the door. Jiwon stood frozen, phone still pressed to his ear, Ara's voice still crying through the speaker. Leave, Gabby whispered. He left. And when the door closed behind him, Gabrielle Okoye finally let herself shatter. Three weeks felt like drowning in slow motion. The news broke everywhere. Kang Ji-won and Yoon Ara expecting their first child. Society pages ran photos of Ara with her hand on her still flat stomach, radiant and victorious. The wedding was moved up. His family issued statements about honor and legacy and the next generation. Gabby watched it all from her apartment, unable to look away, unable to breathe. She'd quit the lounge, stopped answering Mina's calls, spent her days in bed staring at the ceiling, her nights crying until there was nothing left. Ethan tried. Sweet, patient Ethan, who brought her soup she couldn't eat and sat with her in silence she couldn't break. Talk to me, he said on day 17. I can't. Gabby, I'm in love with someone else. The confession tore out of her. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. You deserve someone who can love you back, and I'm not her. I'll never be her. Ethan was quiet for a long moment. Then I know. She looked up, surprised. I always knew. His smile was sad. From that first night at the club, the way you kissed me, you were running from him, not running to me. I hope maybe I could help you move on. But you can't run from love like that. It's not love, she said bitterly. It's obsession. It's sickness. No, he squeezed her hand. It's love, the messy, painful, real kind. And I hope, despite everything, he's worth it. They parted as friends, and Gabby was alone again. Meanwhile, across Seoul, Jiwon was suffocating. The pregnancy announcement happened without his consent. Ara's family orchestrated everything, the photos, the statements, the wedding timeline. His own family closed ranks, talking about duty and honor and protecting the family name. No one asked what he wanted. No one except Minho, who found him at 3 a.m. in his office, staring at nothing. Sir, you haven't slept in 72 hours. Jiwon's voice was hollow. I know. The wedding preparations. I don't care about the wedding. Minho hesitated. Sir, about Miss Yoon's pregnancy. What about it? She's refused every prenatal appointment, says she's too busy, but my contact at the hospital says there's no record of her visiting any obstetrician. No blood tests, no ultrasounds, nothing. Jiwon's head snapped up. What? I thought you should know. For the first time in weeks, something other than despair flickered in Jiwon's chest. He made calls, used connections he shouldn't have used, obtained medical records through means that were definitely illegal. The truth unraveled like a badly told lie. No pregnancy, fake test results, a bribed clinic. All of it staged, desperate, calculated to trap him. When he confronted Ara in her family's estate, she didn't even try to deny it. You're insane, he said, voice deadly calm. I'm desperate. She stood in her designer living room, makeup perfect, composure cracking. My family's losing everything. This marriage was supposed to save us, and you never even cared. Because I don't love you. I know, the scream echoed. I've always known. At the club, when you saw that woman, that black woman, you looked at her like she was the only person in the world, like she mattered more than everything, more than me, more than your family, more than your entire life. The truth in her words cut deeper than the lie. You're right, Jiwon said quietly. She does. He left, called off the wedding, watched his family's fury, his business partner's confusion, society's scandal. None of it mattered. Only Gabby mattered. But when he went to her apartment, it was empty. She's leaving, Mina told him at the lounge, her expression cold. Going home. You destroyed her, Mr. Kang. Congratulations. Minho found him at the airport, tracking Gabby's flight details. Sir, her visa renewal application, she never filed. She's not coming back. The reality hit him. He was losing her. Really, truly, permanently losing her. What flight? Jiwon demanded. Tomorrow, 7 p.m., 24 hours. He had 24 hours to fix 7 years of blindness. Sir, Minho said carefully, are you sure? The scandal, your family, the business? I don't care. Jiwon's voice was raw. I don't care about any of it, not if it means losing her. Because love, he'd finally learned, wasn't about control. It was about risk. And Gabrielle Okoye was worth every risk he had left. The press conference was chaos. Cameras flashed like lightning as Kang Ji-won walked to the podium, suit immaculate but eyes hollow. The room buzzed with speculation. Another wedding announcement? Business merger? No one expected what came next. I'm here to tell the truth. His voice cut through the noise. 3 weeks ago, I announced my engagement, and the news that my fiancée was pregnant, both were lies. The room erupted. Questions shouted over each other. Jiwon raised a hand, and silence fell like a guillotine. Yunara fabricated the pregnancy to secure our marriage. I was complicit in this lie, not because I knew about the deception, but because I agreed to marry someone I didn't love, because it was easier than admitting I was afraid. More flashes, more shouting. Afraid of what? A reporter yelled. Of the woman I actually love. The confession landed like a bomb. I spent 7 years ignoring her, treating her like she didn't exist, because acknowledging her meant acknowledging that I wanted something I couldn't control. Something that scared me more than any business deal or family obligation. His father would disown him for this. His business partners would distance themselves. The scandal would follow him for years. He didn't care. Gabrielle Okoye. He looked directly into the cameras. If you're watching this, I see you. I've always seen you. And I'm sorry it took me so long to be brave enough to say it out loud. I love you, and I'm done hiding from that. He walked off the stage to absolute pandemonium. Minho met him at the side door. Sir, your father called. I know. Jiwon was already moving. What time is it? 5:15 p.m. Her flight? 7 p.m. But sir, security at Incheon. I don't care. Drive. At Incheon International Airport, Gabby sat at gate 47, numb and going through motions. Her suitcase held 7 years of soul, clothes that no longer fit right, photographs she couldn't look at, a work badge she'd kept despite everything. Her mother was expecting her. Home was waiting. But nothing felt like home anymore. Her phone buzzed. Mina, turn on the news. Now. Gabby frowned, pulling up a news app. The headline made her heart stop. Kang Ji-won cancels wedding, exposes fake pregnancy, declares love for mystery woman. Her hands shook as she clicked the video, watched him stand at that podium, watched him destroy everything he'd built, watched him say her name, her full name, to the entire country. I see you. I've always seen you. Tears blurred her vision. Around her, other passengers glanced at their phones, at the news, then at her. Recognition dawned on a few faces. The boarding announcement crackled. Flight 072 to London, now boarding rows 30 through 40. Gabby stood on autopilot, boarding pass trembling in her hand. Then the terminal erupted. Security guards shouted. People turned. And through the crowd, disheveled and desperate, came Kang Ji-won. His suit jacket was gone. His shirt was wrinkled. His hair, always perfectly styled, fell across his forehead. He looked nothing like the controlled man she'd known for 7 years. He looked human. Sir, you can't. A security guard grabbed his arm. Ji-won shook him off, eyes scanning the crowd until they found her. The entire terminal went quiet. He walked toward her slowly, and with each step, Gabby's carefully constructed walls cracked a little more. When he reached her, he stopped, breathing hard, and for a long moment they just stared at each other. I don't deserve you, Ji-won said finally. His voice carried in the silence. I know that. I know I hurt you. I know I wasted 7 years being a coward. But I love you, Gabby, and if you get on that plane, I'll respect it. I'll let you go. But please, his voice cracked, please give me a chance to prove I can be the man you deserved 7 years ago. Final boarding for Flight 72 to London. Final boarding. Gabby's throat closed. You hurt me. I know. He stepped closer. And I'll spend my life making up for it if you let me. You ignored me for 7 years. I did, and I'll never forgive myself for that. But I'm here now. I'm seeing you now, and I'm begging you. Don't leave. The boarding pass crumpled in her fist. Why should I believe you? You lost everything today, your family, your reputation. How do I know you won't resent me for it? Because losing all of that, Ji-won's eyes shone. It felt like relief, but losing you, that would destroy me. Around them, passengers watched with held breath, some filming, some crying, all of them invested in this moment. 7 years, Ji-won. Gabby's voice broke. Why should I believe you now? Because I'm here. He opened his arms, like showing her his vulnerability. Losing everything else, and I'd do it again. I'd do it 1,000 times for one chance with you. The loudspeaker. Final call for passenger Okoye. Gate 47 is closing. Gabby looked at her boarding pass. At the gate, at the life she was running toward, then at the man standing in front of her, finally awake. If I stay, she whispered. Anything. I'll give you anything. Honesty. Always. No more silence. No more games. You'll always know where I am, what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. And I'm not hiding anymore. Her voice grew stronger. Not my feelings, not myself, not for you, not for anyone. I don't want you to. He stepped closer. I want all of you. The anger, the hurt, the dreams you have nothing to do with me. I want the woman who wore that black dress and kissed someone else and reminded me that you were never mine to lose. You were always yours. The boarding pass fell from her fingers. She walked toward him, and the airport erupted in applause. Jiwon caught her in his arms, and 7 years of distance collapsed. The kiss was desperate, public, witnessed by hundreds of strangers with their phones out, and neither of them cared. His hands cupped her face like she was something precious, something he'd almost lost. Her fingers twisted in his shirt, holding him close, making sure he was real. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Gabby laughed, a watery, disbelieving sound. I can't believe you just did that. I can't believe you stayed. He pressed his forehead to hers. Thank you for staying, for giving me a chance I don't deserve. Don't make me regret it. I won't, I swear. The next 3 months felt like learning to breathe again. Jiwon courted her properly, real dates, not expensive gestures, but thoughtful ones. Coffee at sunrise before her new job at a small art gallery in Samcheong-dong. Late night walks along the Han River where they talked about everything, his childhood, her dreams, the space between who they'd been and who they wanted to become. He showed up at the gallery every Thursday with her coffee, cream, no sugar, exactly how she took it. The first time, her coworker asked, "Is that Kangjiwon?" "Yes," Gabby said simply. "The Kangjiwon?" "From the news?" "Just Jiwon." They argued. Real arguments about trust, about his world bleeding into hers, about her fears that he'd wake up one day and realize she wasn't worth the scandal. "Stop," he said during one fight. "Stop diminishing yourself. You're worth every bridge I burned, every partnership I lost. You're worth more than all of it. You say that now. I'll say it forever." His intensity pinned her in place. "I'll say it when we're old and gray. I'll say it on my deathbed. You are worth everything, Gabby. When will you believe it?" She was learning to. He introduced her to his inner circle, not as the woman from the lounge, but as Gabrielle, the woman I love. Some accepted her immediately. Others took time. One business associate made a comment at dinner about exotic tastes, his smile oily and offensive. Jiwon's response was immediate. "This partnership is over." "Jiwon, I was just, get out." His voice was ice. "And if I hear you've spoken about her or anyone like that again, you'll find out exactly how far my influence still reaches." The man left. The table sat in stunned silence, and Gabby watched Jiwon choose her over money, over connections, over the comfort of ignorance. "You didn't have to do that," she said later. "Yes, I did." He laced their fingers together. Always, every time. Meeting her mother was terrifying. Mrs. Okoye arrived in Seoul like a force of nature, took one look at Jiwon, and said, "So you're the fool who made my daughter cry for 7 years?" "Yes, ma'am." "And now you think you deserve her?" "No, ma'am. But I'm hoping she'll let me try to earn that." Her mother studied him for a long moment. Then to Gabby. "He grovels well. I like that." 3 months in, Gabby stayed overnight at his apartment for the first time. The penthouse was nothing like her 12 square meter world. Floor to ceiling windows overlooking Seoul, minimalist furniture, space that felt infinite. But when Jawan looked at her in his living room, he seemed nervous. "Is this okay?" he asked. "We can go slow. There's no pressure." Gabby kissed him, silencing the words. "I've imagined this for 7 years. Let me." She took control, unbuttoning his shirt with hands that trembled slightly. He let her set the pace, following her lead, asking permission with every touch. "Can I? Yes." "Is this?" "Yes." The intimacy was slow, reverent, emotional, not just physical, but spiritual. Two people finally meeting without barriers. He touched her like he was memorizing every inch, like he couldn't believe she was real. She showed him the vulnerability she'd hidden for years, the desire she'd buried, the love she'd almost given up on. Afterward, they lay tangled in his sheets, talking through the night. His fingers traced patterns on her skin, constellations, he said, mapping her like she was something cosmic. "I want to open my own gallery," she said into the darkness, "not work for someone else, build something mine. Then we'll build it." His voice was certain. "Whatever you need, I'll help you with everything. I don't want your money. Not money, support, belief, showing up. That's what you need, isn't it?" It was. The final test came when Ara resurfaced, threatening to expose Juwan's illegal methods of obtaining her medical records. The scandal would be devastating. Criminal charges like lawsuits, public disgrace. Gabby found him staring at the threatening letter, face pale. We face it together, she said simply. Gabby, this could ruin us. It could ruin us. So we handle it. Together. They did. Legally, carefully, with lawyers who found Ara's own illegal actions, fraud, forgery, conspiracy. The threats evaporated. And through it all, Gabby stood beside him, proving that love wasn't about perfection. It was about partnership. I love you, Jiwon said one night, the words no longer desperate but steady, certain. I know, Gabby smiled. I love you too. Finally, after 7 years, they'd found each other, not as server and patron, but as equals. 1 year later, Seoul glittered with possibility. The Okoye Gallery stood in Samcheong-dong, nestled between traditional hanoks and modern cafes, a perfect blend of old and new, just like Gabby herself. Tonight was the opening of her first solo exhibition, Invisible, a photography series about being seen. The gallery hummed with conversation, art critics, collectors, friends, all of them circling her work with champagne and curiosity. But Gabby's eyes kept finding Jiwon. He stood by the entrance, greeting guests, looking nothing like the cold man from the lounge. Softer now, open. He wore his power differently, not as armor, but as responsibility. When their eyes met across the room, he smiled, and her heart still stuttered. Some things never changed. Remember when you said he'd never notice you? Mina appeared beside her, elegant in a red dress. God, we were so dramatic. Gabby laughed. I was wrong, though. I didn't need him to notice me. I needed to notice myself. But I'm grateful every day that I finally opened my eyes. Jiwon materialized, sliding an arm around Gabby's waist. Otherwise, I'd have missed this. All of this. The gallery slowly emptied as the night wore on. Critics promised reviews. Collectors left deposits. Mina hugged Gabby hard before leaving, whispering, You did it, babe. You're finally visible. When the last guest departed, Gabby stood in the center of her gallery, her dream realized, and felt tears prick her eyes. Hey! Jiwon's voice was soft. Why are you crying? I'm happy. She wiped her eyes, laughing. Is that allowed? Always. He took her hand, leading her to her favorite photograph, a self-portrait titled Emergence. In it, Gabby stood in golden light, face tilted up, eyes open, finally free. I need to ask you something, Jiwon said. Gabby turned and found him kneeling. Her breath caught. I'm not asking you to complete me, he began, voice steady despite the emotion in his eyes. You already completed yourself. That's what I love most, watching you become everything you were always meant to be. But I'm asking if you'll build a life beside me, as equals, as partners, as the love I almost lost but will never take for granted again. The ring was simple, a single diamond that caught the light, throwing rainbows across her photographs. Gabrielle Adana Okoye, will you marry me? Tears streamed down her face. Yes, but I'm keeping my last name. Jiwon laughed. Genuine, joyful, free. I wouldn't expect anything less. He stood, sliding the ring onto her finger, and kissed her surrounded by her art, her dreams, proof that she'd claimed her own visibility. Later, they stood at the window overlooking Seoul's skyline, neon and night and infinite possibility reflected in the glass. Jiwon's hand in hers, their future stretching before them. I learned something important, Gabby said softly. The right person doesn't make you visible. They celebrate the visibility you claim for yourself. And I'll celebrate you every day. Jiwon pulled her closer, for the rest of our lives. In the window's reflection, two people stood together, no longer invisible, no longer afraid, just deeply, completely, beautifully seen. Finally home. The end. If this story touched your heart, smash that like button and subscribe for more emotional journeys that stay with you long after the screen goes dark. Now tell me, do you think Gabby should have forgiven Jiwon, or did he need to earn her love even more? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I love hearing from you.